Hello and welcome to the season that was, brought to you by AAMI, Riley Beveridge and Kane Cornes with you. And Kane, today we're going to be looking back at Richmond's 2024 campaign, a wooden spoon for the Tigers. Not many positives coming out of their season, but we'll start with one. And there was that early season victory over the Swans where they beat the eventual minor premier. It was the first time that the eventual wooden spooners have beaten the eventual minor premiers since 1976.
Yeah, amazing game. Sydney were absolutely flying at the time, and then you think, who is going to knock Sydney off? And it was this Richmond side. So this was their one positive of the year. There wasn't many, only 2 wins. Of course, the worst season in club history. This was a positive behind it, and you can see some of the young players, Rioli there, and the relief of AAMI to get his first win, only his first of 2 for the whole of the year. And I mean, it has been a disappointing season in every measure.
Let's get to some problems now for the Tigers, and there's none bigger than the exodus that they face at the end of the season. So we know that Dustin Martin, Dylan Grimes and Marlene Pickett, all premiership players, have retired. But they've got a lot going out in terms of possible trades. So Shea Bolton, we think, is going to move to Fremantle. Liam Baker's still deciding where he wants to go, be it West Coast or Fremantle. Daniel Rioli wants to move to the Gold Coast. And then Jack Graham's weighing up interest from West Coast.
So I'm not sure if it's a problem or an opportunity, because I just feel like even for 2 years, I thought this Richmond list needed a big rebuild. Now, this is the catalyst for perhaps finally having that huge rebuild. So you're the expert in this space, but I'm guaranteeing they'll be able to turn that into something really enticing in a draft that seems to be really strong.
It's deep. It's really strong, as you mentioned. If they can get 5 picks inside 20 and the #1 selection, there's a real chance for them to kickstart this rebuild. I guess with Richmond, the other thing as well, 2-win team with those players. So they're not getting any worse.
Yes. No, they're not getting any worse. And they'll get some players back. Tom Lynch, hopefully they can get healthier. I think a big part of it is their high performance stuff and really committing to players that you feel like can actually stand up and their bodies stand up to the rigours of playing AFL footy. For far too long, there's been too many players that break down and they need to move past that. So Grimes is one of them. He's retired. We know about Prestia. What do you do with him? Graham has had soft tissue injury, so I would personally let him go. There's far too many players, Tom Lynch, that get injured at critical stages through the year. And once again, they used 42 players and only 1 player played every game, and that was Dan Rioli.
We'll get to him in just a moment, but let's have a look at Richmond's moment of the year. And it did come late in the campaign when Dustin Martin played his 300th game in front of 92,000 people against Hawthorn. Kicked the opening goal of the game. He's an absolute champion.
It was amazing, yeah, what a champion. How much are they going to miss him? And then the moment after this where he really thanked the crowd and celebrated, and then in the last game of the season where he did the lap of the honour. But you can see what he means to this footy club. Even the fact that so many fans turned up for this game and so many hung around. Look at the crowd there. Yeah. Look at the respect for that player. And no big game player that we've ever seen. So we will miss him. Do we think we've seen the last of him at AFL level? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident.
All right. It was a great moment, a special one. And Hawthorn, once again, were involved in a lot of big moments, and that was one of them this year.
They certainly were. Let's get to their star of the season, and it was Daniel Rioli, as you mentioned, the only player to play every game this year. Averaged 23 disposals, 4 marks. We think he's on his way to Gold Coast at the end of the year, but he's going to be a massive loss for them because he's provided them with so much.
He will be. And how important is this position? Like every team, every good team has one of these, and he's as good as any in the game because not many can do that and the skill that he plays with. I thought he played with a real intensity this year and a real consistency. Like rarely did he ever play a bad game. Averaged 23, high metres gained, as you said. Was able to go forward and kick goals at stages, but his possessions came in dangerous spots on the ground. So you can see why the interest is there from Damien Hardwick and the Gold Coast Suns. I think if you can get a top 10 pick for him, I would do that deal. I think he is replaceable, and I'd rather get right to the pointy end with multiple picks in the draft, but it's not to say he won't be a big loss.
He will be a big loss for the Tigers in 2025. What about a grade for Richmond's 2024 season?
Yeah, no, it's an E for me. I mean, if you have the worst season in club history, it has to be an E. There can be no other grade for them, unfortunately. Percentage in the 60s, and despite the injury list, I thought far too often they were happy with just ordinary efforts. And I think the coach has got a real challenge for him to really set hard standards in the pre-season and drive this group harder than what he did this year. I thought he was too satisfied with poor efforts, with big smashings, with ordinary contest work, and that happened too often, and AAMI gave them an out. So I think it's a real challenge for him to really, imprint his philosophy and his game style onto this group because we haven't seen it yet.
It's going to be a massive off-season for Richmond as they look to build the foundations for their list rebuild. Plenty more still coming on afl.com.au. We're wrapping up every club's season that was.